So every month we showcase one of our amazing members, and Maria Azcona is phenomenal in what she does. She's got an amazing outlook on life, and she's a bit of a health and safety guru. It's coming up to that time of year, isn't it? The health and safety people. We all have to go through and tick all the boxes, but it's not what it's all about. And the fact that she says it gave me my sanity back. I'm curious to find out how that happened as well. So I'm going to hand over now. I'm going to stop my share and move straight over to Maria. We do record these as well, and you'll be able to find them on our YouTube channel, Collaboration Global. I'm going to put this on to speaker.
That is lovely. Thank you. David, I'll let you know when to go on to the very first bit of the slide, if that's okay. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity for you to get to know me a little bit better. So the big question is, who am I? And what right do I have to be here? Why am I me? Would you trust this woman, and why? Someone once said to me that 10 minutes inside my head will either kill somebody or cure them. So I've got half an hour. So you tell me afterwards, kill or cure. Now, in order for you to get to know me a little bit better, I need to fill in the gaps of who I was and how I got to this point, the here and now. So my nickname at school was Spanish Onion. Let's just say that I went to a school where we didn't have the most adventurous comedians or raconteurs, because otherwise I am sure that they would have chosen something that was a little bit more imaginative than Spanish Onion. However, what do I and a Spanish Onion have in common, I hear you ask? So we both make people take notice, one with a smell and the other one hopefully not with a smell. You can work that one out yourself. We can make people's eyes water in different ways. I mean, you know, have you seen my karate chops is all I'll say. My self-defense moves, second to none. And this is a crucial bit and the important bit. A Spanish Onion and me, we are both multi-layered. Yes, I am an onion. In fact, I suppose you could say that we are all onions. So let's peel back the first layer of the onion, me at school. Let's call this ages 5 to 18. Now, apparently, as multimedia has developed over the last 20 years, I have since found out through the medium of Friends Reunited. Do you remember Friends Reunited? Probably the precursor to Facebook. And from Facebook and LinkedIn, I found out through this medium that apparently when I was at school, I was fairly popular. The only unfortunate thing is that when I was at school, nobody ever told me that. I must have been the most insecure, uncool kid around. So do you want to know how others saw me? Okay, I'm going to show you how other people saw me. There you go. This is Nancy. She is the perfect doll, perfect figure, really trendy. She's got the tartan, we're talking about the 70s trousers, the perfect hair. So this is how people saw me. Okay. Do you want to know how I saw myself? Okay. So that was Nancy, the confident sort of person. This, please don't freak out and don't be scared. This is how I saw myself. Okay. Now, this is how I saw myself. Legs and arms way too thin, no figure at all, fairly goofy, that hasn't changed, massive forehead, and I can't do to this day anything with my hair. It's not smooth and beautiful. It's always that little bit scraggly. So life was, looking back now, kind of very simple. My parents fed me, clothed me, took me on holidays, and expected very little in return. So let's be honest, if I had that life today, I would be paying hand over fist for that sort of service. So childhood. Tunes that and songs that embodied my life back then, there would be two. One of them, I'm going to play you a little tiny bit of a song that you will all recognize, because this is how life kind of was for me back then. This is the feeling that I got when I heard this music. So that gives you a kind of idea of how I saw life. It was all sort of skipping along and beautiful and a little bit goofy, but it was fun. So the other song, and a lot of you will hate me for reminding you of this song. The song that also embodies that part of my childhood is a song that at 7 on a Sunday night, the majority of us heard, and to this day, I still hate it. Okay, that song, I'm sorry, I know it's going to be in your head. It's the Cliff Adams Singers, Sing Something Simple. Now, 7 Sunday night, that meant that when that came on the radio, the weekend was over. We'd just done the top 20, which back then was on Radio 2. And I'd have my parents, oh, music isn't what it used to be. And, you know, they'd had 2 hours of the top 20. And then all of a sudden the news, 7, Sing Something Simple. You knew two things. Firstly, that the weekend was over. And secondly, that if by that point you had not finished your homework, you were well and truly stuffed for the rest of the week, because that meant trouble. So multi-layer number one. So we've done the music. You got the feeling of who I was. So David, if we could go to the very first graph. So imagine that your onion is divided into 4, and you've got 4 things. You've got wealth, health first, wealth, happiness, which is also love and relationships, and confidence. Now, back then, my health was like, woo, it was a 10. I was doing gymnastics all the time. I was in I did every single athletics and sports group that you could think of. We played outside. You know, you were outside literally from the moment you got up until the moment you were dragged in. So health was fantastic. Well, do you know what? It was never perfect, because no parent should ever give their child everything they want. So it was always a number 9, but I had everything I wanted and I needed. The happiness, well, again, you know, going back to that very first song, it was all wonderful, and friendships and love and laughter without a care in the world. And confidence, well, I think you saw from how I saw myself in that doll, just how confident I was not. So that is layer number 1. The lesson: what you see isn't always what is going on inside. So let's move on to layer number 2. Let's call it the 1832. If we could just keep it to the previous slide, David, that would be fabulous. So the next layer is 18 to 32 years old. What a strange and weird time in my life, where I dedicated it to one person in the shape of a husband. Let's call him English Onion. And then in addition, I dedicated it to an additional 2 little lives that we created, which I suppose in the world of alliums and onions would be 2 little shallots. So marriage, putting all my dreams and expectations to one side and blindly and unquestioningly following someone around. But in doing so, not only did I lose who I was and who I had been, but I married into a specific clan where I was expected to change my surname, and in doing so was expected to become, and this is where it gets a little bit like uncomfortable and freaky, I was expected to become the embodiment of my mother-in-law. Yes, to this day, it sends shivers up my spine. So anything that I used to do at that time, I was told that I was no good at, which had to be correct because at the end of the day, it was my darling husband and his family that were telling me. No amount of my family telling me or advising me, alerting me to what was going on would make me believe them, because after all, my husband, well, you know what? He cared about me, and he must be right in everything he said and did. On the plus side, having to follow my husband around whilst he fulfilled his dreams, it gave me a wonderful opportunity to try out different jobs within the same industry, hospitality, which can be incredibly diverse, as you can imagine. And it allowed me to pick up a number of qualifications and to have some amazing and wonderful experiences. So let's go back to the graph of happiness. So this is the second bit. David, that's marvelous, thank you. This is where the numbers change. Now, as you can see, the background has changed. The whole thing has changed. My graph has become a little bit sort of wishy-washy. The reason that the two graphs are overlapped from where it was before to now is because when a bully chips away at you, you don't quite know where the moment was that things changed, because they're very, very gradual. So there's this gradual morph into somebody who you are. Again, as you can see, my health just dipped. They actually found out that I was thyrotoxic, which had been an undiagnosed condition, and I became very ill. My wealth was non-existent. We were living hand to mouth through his inherent spending. My happiness was kind of, thinking back now, I was halfway. It was half of what it used to be. And my confidence, well, giving it a 1, the only reason I've given it a 1 is because I wanted to show something on the graph. That is how my confidence was. So through that time, what did I learn? First thing, bullshit people tend to be either full of it, which is why they are bullshit people, or that they're like that because they think that what is expected of them. And also that is how they are going to get what they want, which it turns out isn't always what they need, but there's no telling them that either. Another lesson learned, that people make the most unlikely bedfellows. So if your hunch about someone is there, if the pit of your stomach flips when you see them, and this could be either you make me feel happy when I think of you, or you make me feel rather icky and when I think of you, to trust that gut feeling. My instinct towards the second onion layer was telling me that I had made the mother of all huge mistakes in choosing who I thought was Mr. Wonderful life partner. He was not. However, 2 beautiful shallots later said that at least if you have a large Spanish onion and an English onion, we can in fact make the most beautiful shallots. So which songs do I relate in that part of my life? So let's go back to the tunes. What would the tunes be? Well, firstly, there's Landslide by Fleetwood Mac, which is possibly one of the most existentialist songs about identity, where she sings about the loss of identity after someone important has left her life and how she's unsure if she can ever change it. Then there's All by Myself by Eric Carmen, followed by the lullaby version, so the non-worded version of Boulevard of Broken Dreams by Green Day, which in my head I could sing the words to, but I couldn't actually say them out loud because all this time I'd been gagged. So lesson number 2 of the Spanish onion layer: trust your instincts when it comes to people. Having many diverse experiences in life, good and bad alike, are one of the best ways, if not the best ways, to learn. Leave the bad baggage in lost property and don't try and find the answers from people who can't provide them. Because let's be honest, English onion was probably more lost than I was, and still apparently is. So let's move on to the third layer, 32 to 37, the wilderness years. Actually, this was the first time that I was really, really happy in my onion skin. I worked hard. It was just me and my boys. We ate like kings and queens, which for any Spanish household is paramount to holiness. Did I have money? No, but we were poor as church mice, but we were so, so happy. I was bringing up my 2 shallots, working every hour I could when they weren't with me, when they were at nursery or school or at friends. Making sure that they knew what being true to oneself, trusting your instinct to love and war is so very, very important. I have always wanted them to fight for the underdog without becoming the underdog themselves. So let us go back to the graph of happiness. Yeah, number 3. So health, wow, it improved like amazingly. Not out of the woods yet, but we were on the right tracks. Wealth, well, do you know what? Even though we were poor, we never wanted for anything. And slowly, I started to build up our funds, and I could afford to send the children to different places and so forth. The happiness, wow, look at that. We're on a number 8, not quite there yet, because there are still parts of my life that aren't right, and I had to rebuild relationships with family and so forth. And confidence, number 7. I think that says it all. So my inheritance tracks for that time, it definitely starts off with Bittersweet Symphony by The Verve, goes on to I Am What I Am, Gloria Gaynor, epic. Sisters Are Doing It for Themselves, Sister Sledge, all those kind of girl power, boy power anthems. And then it really weirdly ends with Outkast singing Hey Ya, which is a song that just makes you want to dance. And and when the words go, just shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it, well, that's what's going on in my head such a lot. So I started to dance on a daily basis, dancing in my undies, dance because no one can see you, dance as if no one can see you, and sometimes dance forgetting that the curtains are wide open and people can see you, but that's another thing. It is liberating, and it is one of the most life enhancing things that I started to do at that time, that I still do every day. So layer number 4, the last and final layer, ages 37 to the current date. So I met the love of my life. He is not an onion, but he's a garlic. So he doesn't try and compete with my onioniness, because onions and garlics are unique. He is solid. He is tangy. Yeah, he is definitely tangy. And he complements my onion dish absolutely perfectly. So instead of taking you through the whole ages 37 to now, which is how many years? What, 15, 16, 17 years? I think that's right. Now let me go back to just a mere 2 years ago. So as I bring it to a close, and I'm going to go and say this is how health and safety saved my life and gave me back my sanity. So during my number 2 layer, I wasn't allowed to bloom. That was I couldn't develop my personality, and I actually went backwards. I lost who I was. Layer 3 allowed me to rebuild and start to rebuild the new me, or should I say the true me. So I therefore start layer 4 by being the truest person to the truest person I have ever been to myself. I found Mike, my garlic. Mike found me, and we both got to the true layer, that juicy, fragrant, eye-watering, tasteful, yummy layer that really flavors the dish. I was allowed to be me, my own person. I built a company at that point because I'd always wanted to do that. 3 things happened simultaneously though. Firstly, I let my work completely take over our lives. Now I can see that what I was doing unknowingly to Mike was exactly what had been done to me all those years ago. I took over our partnership of marriage by imposing my own rules, which basically evolved around my work and my work only. At the same time, it has to be said, I went through the minefield that is the freaking menopause, which no amount of books, podcasts, well-meaning groups, friends can ever really prepare you for. Secondly, I had an accident. In fact, it was exactly 2 years and 2 days ago, I had an accident which, in the words of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, my world got turned upside down. It was a momentary lapse of health and safety that meant all of a sudden I could no longer work in my beloved company and I could no longer carry it on. Thirdly, and this is something that we all relate to, the P word, the blimmin' pandemic. At that point, so post-accident, I was so lost, trying to rebuild myself physically, mentally, working through my relationship, as again, all these things were changing again. I had a chance to reflect. I think we all had chances to reflect. I met, in business, at that point, I met someone in a breakout room who opened my eyes to this world of health and safety. I saw how horrid my accident had been, and I was able to reflect on what my accident had meant in my life. And one of the things that was in my head is I didn't want people to make that same mistake. So the pandemic gave me a chance to sit down, reflect about my life, to truly, honestly, and without any excuses, strip back every single layer and look at where I had been in an attempt to go forward. So if we could go back to the very last graph now, now this graph, as you can see, it's solid. The last ones is yellow. Yellow for me is such a wonderful, beautiful, happy color. My health is 1 notch down from perfect, and I'm working on that. My wealth, well, do you know what? I don't think I will ever be a millionaire. I don't think I ever want to be a millionaire because I don't know whether I want that responsibility, said someone with not enough money to be a millionaire. But do you know what? I have everything I want financially. What more could I ask for? My happiness, that is now a 10. It's an absolute 10. I love it. I could not be happier. Doesn't mean that I don't have my moments of doubt or sadness or anything, because I'm going through some stuff, and I have been through some stuff this year, but my happiness is at the top 10. And my confidence, well, do you know what? It's a number 8. I'm me. I am who I am, in the words of Gloria Gaynor. And that really does make no excuses. So what is my song, my current song? That was an easy one. It's Blinding Lights by The Weeknd, because that is a song to me about life and living and doing your own dance. And it's about interpreting life, not how you think others want you to see it, but by seeing it how you want to see it. So this platform, Collaboration Global, I met Jill Tiny at the very last meeting just before the pandemic. And what you said, Jill, made total and utter sense to me. So I came back to this platform, Collaboration Global, which has, I think it allows us to strip back the layers of the onion. And in doing so, there is the smallest, teeniest chance that we can make the best of ourselves. We can give the best of ourselves and replace the world's onion layers with better, more confident, healthier, and just downright nicer layers of onions for us and for the next lot of people that are going to be sitting here in this room and in our seats of life. And that is, in a real roundabout way, how, at the end, health and safety saved my sanity. Thank you.